That was Monster from Taylor Phelan off the debut EP, One of Two, right here on In the Pit. You know that name from music playing on this show here, from the Canes, from The Voice, and tonight it's an honor and absolute privilege and pleasure to be talking to the man himself on the phone with me. How are you doing tonight, Taylor?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Oh my God, this is great to talk to you. I've been a fan of you for so long, and now with this new music and everything you've got coming up, it's gonna be a fun ride, and I'm so stoked. So thanks.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me. It has been a fun ride.
Yeah.
There's just been a lot. Yeah, I mean, you said the Canes. I mean, that's a throwback.
Hey, yeah.
Way back there. So, there's been a lot since the Canes.
Oh, definitely.
And The Voice. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, first and foremost, congratulations on the new EP, One of Two. I mean, it's been out since August, but congratulations. How has the reaction been since the release?
Yeah, I think it's been exciting. Honestly, we've had a really great response on all fronts. I mean, from radio to press has been really positive. We've songs and the EP has been featured or reviewed on like massive media outlets, which has been really flattering and affirmative for me. So there's been a lot of really great feedback, and I think that it's been healthy, like a healthy amount of feedback too. I feel like sometimes artists, when you release something, the feedback is almost too good, where it feels like it's not sustainable, or you can't really follow it up. But I feel like we've actually had a really healthy level of feedback, where I think that the media and reviewers and things like that, and even listeners are really positive and happy with this release, but they're also expecting more, and expecting just like the continued like level of release and material coming up, so which is really exciting, and it's a lot of pressure. So
you get a little bit of everything kind of with it. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about the Canes. So from getting all this response now and from the old band and The Voice and everything, what did you take from all your previous like adventures basically, and what did you want to put into this new EP?
That's a good question. I mean, this is like, I feel like my career as a musician has progressed very naturally, honestly. Like, I feel like this release is a very natural progression to everything that I've done up until now. So there's little bits of stuff that I've learned, in the Canes, and just like being in a studio and working and recording in that environment, and then moving on to The Voice, which was obviously a much grander production, and there's so much more money wrapped up into that. So then, like the Canes, we were just a small indie rock band, it was a self-funded, recording and all of that. And then The Voice is obviously, there's actual budget, for recording and for the production. And I learned so much about like how, their stage dynamic and studio dynamic works, and what a large band and production looks like, and how it kind of comes together. And so I learned a lot about that. And then coming into the studio as Taylor Phelan and working on my first solo release, I had a budget, to work with, and there was an actual production and operation, that had to be managed, and like there was a vision that had to be cast for everyone. And so I was able to kind of take all of these experiences, like you're saying, and put it into this project. And I don't know if it's hard to say like any one thing in particular, because it's just like a culmination of all of my experiences, But there's definitely, with this release, much like the stuff that the newer stuff that I'm working on that no one's actually hearing, there's a level of maturity and a level of writership that feels very obvious and tangible,
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just a general, maturity. It feels like a natural progression to who I am as an artist, and I'm still figuring that out, honestly. I mean, this is my first solo release, so I've had one shot at figuring out what Taylor Phelan sounds like, and even after releasing One of Two, and Two of Two is like right here. Like I said, the material that I'm working on for what comes after two of two. The next release, record number 2, is even more developed, it feels like.
Well, geez, just from that, I'm excited to hear where you can move to. I mean, because seriously, the door's open for you. You could go into multiple different directions. So that's kind of cool that you can kind of try different sounds before you be like, okay, don't put myself in like one box, basically.
Right. Yeah, I've never wanted to be that way, too. I've always had a hard time saying, well, this is what I am, because I grew up listening to R&B, and loving R&B music. I wanted to be in a boy band, but I also grew up in Texas, so country is not too far out there, and Americana folk stuff.
A country boy band. That has not been done yet.
It hasn't been done yet.
Well, hey, there you go. If this fails, there you go. You can start a country boy band.
A country boy band.
But it's not going to fail. It's going to be good because you worked with the fantastic Josh Niles on this EP. Just right there alone, how did you guys meet up?
Man, we got hooked up through, we had a mutual friend. It's actually one of the guys I play with.
Okay.
In the band, Josh Swornick. He's one of my guitarists. I was looking for a producer, just a new producer. I'd never really landed on someone who I felt, understood my vision and also pushed back and was able to challenge me and stretch me into a new space, I just had never found that partner, When I started playing with Josh Swornick, he was like, hey man, I've got this producer buddy out of Nashville that I think you guys should talk. And so we just started a conversation, and immediately, from references to just the way that I was communicating an idea, I felt like he was understanding it. And so, we scheduled some studio time, and so I went out to Nashville, and we tracked, we tracked 6 songs. It was like, hey, well, let's track 6 songs. We'll see where it goes. And it was awesome. It was the best studio experience, producer experience, collaborative, experience that I've ever had. He's just a wizard. Like he's a real producer. He's able to take an idea and know how to make it happen. Number one, but also he's able to just keep a really objective, high-level view of where a song is going, And so as we're recording, he'd be like, oh, hey, listen, do something like this, and somebody be playing something, or, he'd tell somebody to, hit all of their, I don't know, he would tell someone to do something very counterintuitive, and I'd be sitting in the control room, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if that sounds good. That doesn't sound right, I'd push back, but he'd push back, and he'd say, hey, listen, I know you're not seeing it right now. Give me 5 minutes, and let me kind of paint the picture for you, So he'd affect, whatever we were working on, and he'd put together just a rough mix, and he'd bury it low, or he'd, distort it, put some reverb on something, and all of a sudden it just it makes sense, in the context of the song. And I've never really worked with someone who was able to reach out there and grab things that are so just abstract, and kind of pull them in and put everything together in a way that it makes sense. I legitimately felt, so many times I felt like I wasn't the smartest one in the room, like I wasn't the most creative one in the room, and which is saying a lot. Like as an artist working on my own material, a lot of times it's easy for an artist to feel kind of arrogant about knowing what my song needs. I know what my song needs,
Yeah.
And time and time again, he showed me that I didn't know. He actually knew.
Well, between that, I hear so much between either producers overproducing or underproducing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that it was just almost like a natural thing for you, basically.
Yeah. It was. It really did set a new standard for me in terms of my relationship. In terms of my relationship with future producers.
Yeah. So going into this then with the 6 songs, did you for the most part have them mapped out musically of where you wanted to go before you got into the studio?
Yeah, I tend to, over the years, I tend to demo out my stuff, as I'm writing it. I kind of demo it out. And I think a part of it for me is that I revise my songs in real time, like as I'm writing them, and which is why I abandon a lot of songs. I know pretty early on, I'm like, this song isn't gonna, it can't develop into the way that I want it, you know? Yeah. Some people, some writers, I'm sure, would call that a fault, but for me, I don't write a whole lot of songs. And so the songs that I do invest in and I do finish, you know, are the ones that I believe in, you know? So I found that for me, in demoing out, like as I'm writing, in demoing out, it helps me just see what the song could be. Even if the song, you know, takes a total left turn when we actually get in the studio and I actually start working with Niles or whoever it might be, if it changes direction, that's fine. But at least for me, I know that it helps me just kind of see the potential of a song, you know? So, yeah, so I typically go in or take a song to the band or to, you know, Niles or whoever I'm working with, kind of fleshed out a little bit.
But then, was there one song in particular then on this EP that was completely different than when you walked out of the studio?
Oh, man.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
I'm just thinking through them. It's funny because recently I was backing up a hard drive and I ran across all of the demos for these songs, you know, and they're crappy. They're just like on my laptop, you know, stream of consciousness, you know, like the synth sounds are not good, the drum sounds are all MIDI, you know, it's not real, but it's just kind of showing the pace of a song. And I ran across them, so I started listening to them. So this question should be easy, but it's not. They all have shifted, you know, at least you know 10%, a 10% shift.
Okay.
But some of them are more dramatic. I'm just trying to think of which one is the most.
Well, we started out with Monsters. Now, did that change at all? Where did that song come from?
Monsters. I'm trying to think of what the demo sounds like for Monsters. Actually, Monsters is surprisingly similar. Mainly because we actually carried over some of my original demoed synth sounds, like the main lead line that starts the song. That's like that was a demo. That was a demo synth. I did that in my demo, and then my daughter's voice is at the beginning of it. That was actually a part of, that was just random, you know, because she kind of came in the room as I was demoing out some stuff, and she wanted to sing in the microphone like that. So I picked her up, and she started singing in the microphone, and then it turned into this, you know, kind of abstract, mumbly, you know, moment at the top of the song. But that all happened in the demo, so we carried that over. So there's a lot of elements in Monsters that are actually represented in the final recording, which is funny.
That's really cool, though. That's really awesome. Yeah. People have to definitely then go back and listen to it and be like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, that song in particular, I think it's such a perfect opener because it really runs so well together with each song. I think that like really sets what the EP is, one of two. So, like, where did you want that groove throughout?
You know, when I felt like it was a really good. It's one of the earlier songs that I wrote for this collection, and I did feel like it was. I do. But at the time of writing it, I did feel like it was a really solid, defining direction. So I think that there's. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Monsters is a really good representation of the collection of music as a whole. But I also feel like there's just so much variety in one of two and two of two, and each individual song really stands alone. There's nothing that really sounds like another song, you know. But like I said, I mean, it was one of the first songs I wrote for this body of material, and I feel like if nothing else, subconsciously it was driving inspiration.
Yeah, I was wondering this as well. I mean, we kind of touched on that. You're into such different varieties of music. Do you tend to reference certain songs or bands or artists when you're creating music, or do you want to go into creating basically blind, just what's in your head?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I really don't like referencing like styles necessarily. Okay. It's really hard. I mean, because any artist right now, it's really hard to actually create anything that's completely original, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
But I really try. And a lot of times in the studio, what happens is, like, when you're searching for the perfect guitar tone or synth sound or something, there's usually somebody in the room is like, hey, what about that Beck acoustic guitar sound? You know what I mean? You pull up a Beck song. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then you kind of dial in a sound. So, I mean, that happens all the time, you know, and it ranges. So for these songs, you know, the references ranged anywhere from that actually happened. We dialed in an acoustic guitar sound, you know, based on a Beck sound, you know, somewhere. I don't even remember what Beck tune it was. But, you know, we referenced Beck. We referenced, you know, we used the Mastotron, which is a pedal. The Zvex Mastotron. It's a fuzz pedal, electric guitar pedal, which is like St. Vincent's signature fuzz sound, you know. So we use that, like we referenced St. Vincent, you know, whenever we were like, oh, kick on that Zvex, you know, kick on the Mastotron, and so that kind of came out, you know. So that was a reference at some point. You know, so there's a lot of referencing, and I think it's fine to reference, you know, when you're tracking and developing, if it's a natural thing. I think it's something different to premeditatively select something that you want it to sound like. It's kind of hard to get away from that a lot of times, and I feel like sometimes you end up comparing a song to what you're trying to make it sound like, but you're like, well, but I want it to sound exactly the same, but I want it to sound like this. You know?
You want that feeling, so you just don't want like copyright on it.
Exactly. It's weird. It's really tough to predetermine what you want something to sound like, you know?
Yeah.
For me. So but yeah, I mean I maybe not every artist is like this, but I am someone who, you know, comparison is just my worst enemy. And so anytime somebody I love comes out with a record and I'm just like, this is the best thing I've ever heard, I automatically think about myself. I suck. I'm never gonna make anything good. Like, I'll never make anything this good. I should just stop right now, you know? So I really do try to limit, you know, like my influences or inspiration or comparisons to the like studio being like a really practical utility, you know, like where it's just like, well, we need this sound and this person has a good reference, you know. I try to limit it to that. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. I mean, and geez, don't be too hard on yourself, because 1 of 2 is amazing, dude. It is amazing. Like, if this is anything to where 2 of 2 is going to be, like, we all just better stop right now, because
I think 2 of 2 is the better half.
Yeah? Well,
I do. I think it's the better half.
Well, when can we like expect this then?
So March.
Oh yeah.
2 of 2 will be. I mean, we're targeting March right now.
Okay.
So we're shooting for February for the first single, and then 2 of 2 will be coming the following month.
Oh. I'm excited. So, like, is the music kind of basically done with it, or you still working?
Music is totally done.
Okay.
Music is totally done. Honestly, the music I finished both 1 of 2 and 2 of 2 at the same time.
Oh, all right.
We just separated them. You know, we just let's make this the first release in this one. Yeah, it's going to be, there's a few songs on there that I'm just really excited about, that I think have a lot of potential.
Well, we're definitely going to be looking out for that. And, well, your first single was Settle Down. Such a good song, such a good music video. Where did this first single come from? Why did you pick this song?
Yeah, Settle Down is the most recent song I wrote with this collection of music in mind, this release in mind, which I think makes sense. It's super timely, just topically, lyrically. It feels very relevant, yeah, I mean, it's the most message-driven song I think I've probably ever written, and I wrote it out of a place of just the same place I'm still at, which is just frustrated and a little bit overwhelmed and confused about what to do in regards to American society right now, in our culture, and the way that we treat one another. We just have developed a habit of demonizing things that we don't understand and hurting each other, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Settle Down is just it's honestly, if you really do listen through the song lyrically, I mean, it's pointing a finger at everyone, you know, and even myself, it's pointing a finger at all of us. It's because we're all a part of the same system and we're all a part of the problem, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that acknowledgement is required in order for us to go make any progress, you know? And yeah, Settle Down. It's just it's a call to just like everyone take a deep breath and let's grow in empathy and let's grow in patience and understanding and try to like listen to, you know, the other side, whatever the other side means for you, you know.
Yeah.
And so that would Settle Down. So I think we chose it as the first single. The first time I actually co-wrote that with Josh Niles.
Okay.
And so as we were writing it, I was like, this is the one. Like, this is the lead track, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and everybody felt the same way. It's just so timely.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Which made sense.
Well, we're going to take a listen to that song in a bit here. But, I mean, off the topic of that, what do you want people to take away from this EP as a whole, and even part 2? What do you want people to either feel from it, or what did you want to give people?
I don't know if I have a specific feeling that I want people to take away. I mean, even just the way that I write, it's very adaptable. Like the kind of the way that I write, my writing style, it's able to be picked up, related to by I think just a lot of different people. I kind of write in a way that's direct, but while being very abstract and just vague enough to apply to you know.
Everyone.
Your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, to apply to everyone. And so, and that's even true for me. I've noticed, like, the older I get and the longer time goes on between, you know, the first song I've written and, you know, now or whatever, the songs are even changing. The meaning of them are even changing for me, you know? And I can't necessarily remember exactly what I meant by a certain line when I wrote it, you know, but it means something different now, which has been a really interesting thing for me to experience my own songs in a different way, you know, as time goes on. So I don't know if there's necessarily a specific feeling that I want people to feel. I didn't write with that in mind, but I do enjoy writing songs that people can connect with emotionally and personally. Like, I don't write like club songs, you know, or dance your face off songs. You know, it's not really like that's not really my writing style. You know, so I do hope that people are able to connect emotionally in some way, whatever that way that means, you know, for them to my material. And then also, I like I've said this before, but honestly, as excited as I am and as happy and as proud as I am of 1 of 2 and the upcoming 2 of 2, I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah. So
I just hope people I hope people feel that this is just the beginning of what is possible. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
And share the next batch.
Well, I'm super stoked. 1 of 2 is out now. 2 of 2 is on its way. I'm gonna put a countdown on my phone once I'm done talking to you, FYI. But we've been talking about it all night. How can people get this EP? How can they check you out?
Yeah, so I'm online everywhere I'm supposed to be in 2017. So all of those places, you can Google or search Taylor Phelan on pretty much any platform, and I'm bound to come up. But TaylorPhelan.com is a good hub for everything. You can find tour dates and photos and latest press stuff and all of that. Yeah. I try my best to keep it updated. Yeah, and then online. I've also got I forgot all about this. I've got a holiday release coming.
What?
I recorded 3 songs. It's small. It's nothing spectacular. But I recorded 3 songs, 3 holiday tunes, and that'll be released next Friday, which will be fun. So.
Oh. Well, that was a fun little thing at the end.
I know. I forgot about that. I was thinking about what's upcoming.
Well, that's all. 3 original songs?
No. They're not. I recorded Hark the Herald.
Okay.
And Have Yourself a Merry Christmas and Low Howard Rose. It's an old piano.
Oh, well, that's awesome. More new music.
Yeah.
Can't stop.
Yeah, more music. I know. That's fine. But I think that's all I've got.
Okay. Well, that's next Friday.
The 8th.
The 8th?
This Friday?
Oh, this Friday.
The 8th. That's this Friday.
Hey!
It's coming sooner.
Oh, well, people definitely now have to check that out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll definitely get that Christmas music up and running since it is December.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, new EP's out. 3 Christmas songs Friday and 2 of 2 in March. I think we did it. I think we nailed it.
I think we did.
So, does that mean touring coming up in 2018?
It does.
Okay.
I'm working with booking right now to figure out what that looks like. I'm really trying to get a solid support slot. That's what I really want and need. Is I'm tired of headlining. I need to support. I need to go out with someone.
Yeah.
So we're working on that, but we're developing. Right now, we're looking at a run in February that actually might take us up to New York. Ooh. And up the East Coast and through the Midwest. And then we're targeting spring. We're looking at spring, and we're having a bunch of conversations about what that could look like with all sorts of people.
Nice. So. I mean, you just gave us more than we anticipated for tonight. So, congratulations again with everything. We're super stoked about everything that's happening with you, and just you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we're gonna end things with "Settle Down." So Taylor, if you want to introduce this song, we'll take a listen.
This is Taylor Phelan, and you're listening to "Settle Down."